Get Into Gate. This is episode 113. We are talking Stargate SG-1. We are talking one episode per week, introducing one of our team members to the show for the very first time, and we are all the way up to season 6, the very first episode of the new brand of Stargate. When it hit a new channel, as Maddie's been telling us for the last couple of weeks. We will welcome the full team. My name's Mitch. We got Maddie.
Welcome to Siffy.
We've got Brendan.
Hi there.
And Rhys, our first-time watcher.
Yeah, g'day, guys.
All right, here we are to kick off season 6. It is a two-parter, and if you have been with the show before, you know how we like to do two-parters. We don't like to cover them one part per podcast. We whack them all in together. So we're going to do Redemption
Careful.
Part 1 and Part 2. It's just the Redemption podcast here for episode 113 of Get Into Gate. Let's throw it over to the synopsis, see what this episode's about, and then we'll have a chat to Rhys and see what he thought. SG-1 faces two potential disasters light years apart as an energy buildup in the Stargate threatens to destroy Earth, and Teal'c returns home to find his wife dead, his son estranged, and his planet under attack. Should we just roll straight into part 2 and see what's... Yeah, okay, let's go. Reload. As Teal'c and his son battle to save Earth, O'Neill pilots the X-3, a newly designed interstellar spacecraft that will carry the Stargate far away from Earth so it can explode harmlessly in deep space. But how will SG-1 operate without the Stargate?
Does it really say the X3?
Well, yes, X-3. Yes.
Because it's called the X302.
Yeah, the X302.
Oh, see, lazy. They got back to being lazy on the DVD. I mean...
X3, that'll do. I'm not putting two other numbers in.
Look how pristine that DVD is. Yeah, obviously.
So clean.
Doesn't get
the
that
case
much of
cover is so it's the cleanest
viewing.
one.
Don't watch his Jonas episodes, I'm guessing.
So, yeah, I guess first things first, we should, acknowledge the elephant in the room. We get reintroduced to an existing character, much hated, that we've given a lot of crap to in the past, that we're forced to like in this episode. And I like Ryak. Hey, see what I did there? Set you all up. Hey, pew, pew,
I was waiting for
It's funny, because when he first come out of that tent, I was like, oh, this little shit.
Oh, and then he
Soon as it
starts
happened.
flogging Tilk.
Yeah.
I know, and Tim
And I'm
just
like-
cops it.
He copped like 10.
Yeah,
like
he's
you wouldn't
letting
cop
in.
more than 2.
I turned to my missus, I go, this is not real, because Tilk wouldn't put up with this. He'd flog the shit out of his kid.
I like that when Brad's come in and like peeled him off. And he's like, he doesn't see me as a worthy opponent. He's like, and be glad that he doesn't.
Yeah.
Because he would snap you like a
You'd be
twig.
dead.
Absolutely.
You would be a smear in the dirt.
Yeah.
And Teal'c's not like, oh no, I would never do that. He's like, yeah, you best be warned, boy.
But
I'll
no,
break you over
Could you
my
imagine?
knee.
He'd just be like a bull.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
driving him into the dirt.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
God,
and
war style.
he'd be crying within 3 seconds.
Yeah.
If he was still able to function.
Yeah.
It's
This
like
is-
a
I made
spoiler
you
alert
wrong,
for
boy.
Walking Dead, but it's like he'd be the Bat and Ryak would be Glenn. Like,
That's hectic.
but yeah, I really like Ryak in this episode. Like, I've probably been the most vocal in how much I fucking hate young Ryak.
Yeah.
But he grows on me in this episode. I feel like this is the first time where it's like his reactions are like, I feel like it's the first time he's been emotionally valid. Like, he's grieving the death of his mother.
Yeah.
And then he's also guilty that he thinks he's not strong enough to live up to everything because of the brainwashing. And it's like he's acting out. And Teal'c being a really good dad by just like letting him just like wail on him to try and work out these emotions. And then they do talk it out later on. I'm just like, I'm down for all that. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I especially like Braytak coming in and saying,
Yeah.
well, he doubts himself and he thinks you don't believe. Why would he say that? Because you have not told him otherwise. I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, I like that as a good mental
You're his
moment.
father
hey?
and you haven't told him
Yeah.
otherwise. Oh, yeah, good point. I haven't been here, have I?
How did the fathers in the room go when there was that big emotional thing where it was like, you need not win back my trust, my son, because you have never lost it.
Well, I really
like,
loved it the first few times, but this time I'm like, there was no, like, apart from Braytak telling Teal'c that, there was no kind of lead up into that conversation. Like,
Yeah.
Ryak could have turned around and goes, you doubt me? Like, he could have played it back on that.
Yeah, and why did you
Yeah,
tell
it's
me
not a
that
bad
out
point.
of context story about you being brainwashed?
Yeah.
Like, he sort of told him that, and it's like, if you get the reference, great. If
Yeah.
you don't, well, I'm going into a
Yeah.
completely different conversation. Like, he was following up on everything that he was told by Braytek, and I'm like, okay, well,
Yeah, because
Good on
it felt like Braytek was talking more about the wisdom rather than saying, this is what Rhys has told me. When I've been here raising your son for you, he's told me these things.
Yeah.
Whereas, it was played off more like Braytek just being a wise mofo
Yeah.
and just dropping a knowledge bomb on Teal'c and saying this is obviously what he's feeling because I'm
Yeah,
Braytek
I took
and
it that
know
way,
this.
but
yeah.
like Braytek's a pretty bloody knowledgeable guy. He's pretty switched on. I think I don't think Ryak would have had to have told him. I think you could just see it.
Yeah, but then so what Brendan was saying is like, is Ryak aware of that? So then when Teal'c does drop that stuff and Ryak's like, oh, I didn't realise that. Like, yeah, so I can see that little bit of a disconnect.
Yeah.
But otherwise it was good.
Anytime Teal'c gets choked up, I'm down for it.
Yeah. Like, I didn't mind him copping a few hits to the face with the staff weapon, but then, like, the third one and the fourth one knocks him down. I'm like, come on, bro.
Well,
you could tell that he just felt guilty.
Yeah, but, like, you could cop two, but the third one, you're like, all right, bro.
Didn't
He probably thought he deserved it.
the scene
Yeah,
cut away to something else, then cut back,
Yeah.
and Ryak's still wailing on him?
Yeah, he knocked
I think
him to the
that
ground
was the
again.
bit that was a little bit too far. But yeah, if you just
Yeah.
done it a couple of times, you'd be like, okay, that's Jafar dealing with grief.
Yeah, I just thought it
he
was
losing his mum.
Teal'c copying the beating that he thought that he himself deserved.
For leaving his
For
wife
leaving
and
and not being there, and now she's
Yeah.
dead, and he wasn't there to
Yeah.
sort of
Even
look
see
after
it.
her.
And he's
and,
like, if me-
and it was the rebellion that he started, which gave her the strength to say, no, I don't want a symbiote in
Yeah.
me. So essentially, it's him.
Yeah.
When Ryak was like, it's your fault she's dead, technically, you're right.
indirectly, yeah.
Yeah, but that's what pissed me off about Ryak was he was like, she would have never done this if it wasn't for you, and this is so shit. But I was yelling at the TV like she didn't do it for herself. She didn't do it for she was doing it for the greater good. She could obviously see the progress that it was going to make in the future for every other.
Well, and she was doing it for Ryak as well.
Yeah, that's right.
And even Teal'c said, like, everything I've done for you and your mother. And he's like, what have you done?
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense. Like, I'm doing it for your future and your children's future or whatever, but not necessarily nothing good has come of for Ryak in the last 5 years, 6 years.
I think, obviously, and that just shows, like, obviously, Ryak's youth and ignorance towards the fact and thinking selfishly, but at the same time, like, he's obviously everything has happened to him. His dad's left. He's been treated as a traitor his whole life because of association with his old man, and now his mum's dead, who was the only one that really, in his mind loved him. So
Well, except for his first mum, who we never saw her again.
yeah.
He's like, my second mum's dead. Bring back the first actress.
Yeah, there's so much about Teal'c's story and his place within SG1 or the SGC that I thought about in such a short amount of time when they were having those conversations about where he's been and what. And I'm like, yes, he's left you, but he's out to fight the Gould. So long term, he's thinking about the family and the people. But that means his best place is on a different planet, So that's what he thinks. But maybe he should be with them and maybe trying to be what Kitano was last year, or what we thought that he was last season, and raising this Jafar rebellion, from Chulak and from other Jafar sort of planets and outposts and things like that. And then the SGC, it's like, well, they're kind of taking Teal'c for a ride here. It's like, come join us. We're going to take it to the Gould. We're going to do it week to week and just pick random planets in our system and just go there and see what happens. It was brilliant for Daniel because all he wanted to do was explore different people, different cultures, different planets, and try and work out how that played, if it did, into the history of the world.
And if his wife was there, good.
Good, sweet, yeah, great. If this all works out, if it doesn't, well, then maybe there'll be a next week. Until then, there's other women I can sleep with. But at the same time, like, Teal'c didn't need to be there. And again, the family could have come to Earth with them. They go, why didn't she? Oh, she wanted to stay with the people. It's like, good. That's a very selfless reason and decision to make. But at the same time, it would have been far easier life for you, and then you wouldn't have to be angry at Teal'c. But should you have to do that? Like, it was a nice little problem for him to have all of a sudden when it's like,
you can understand both perspectives. Like, obviously, Teal'c's made a pledge to the Tari saying, I'll give you my life. I dedicate myself to you, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I'd bloody hate to move off world with a bunch of people I didn't know. So I can see where his missus is coming from. But at the same time, absolutely. I'd expect him to go back and lead this rebellion and be like, oi, do you really need me? Or like, I'll come back when I'm finished, but can I go and lead this rebellion, and then
Yeah.
we can join forces and fight the goal together.
And I'm sure as a viewer, if he all of a sudden made that very real world acceptable decision of, you know what, I'm going to go back to Chulak and I'm going to go back to with my family and do the Jafar rebellion thing back there, I'd be like, nah, man, you can do that from here and still stay on the show every week.
Yeah.
But now that he's doing that, I'm like, oh, really? Would you really make that decision as a character? I had to laugh though with Jonas when they're like, "You've been here 3 months. Would you like to get off base?" He's like, "Yes, that would be so great."
Yeah.
I'm like, man, Teal'c did 4 solid years before he was allowed out of this joint.
Yeah.
Suck it up, just because you don't have a gold thing on your face.
And then he gets to go and see like the coolest thing
Yeah.
that we've ever made.
Yeah, and then
Wow.
got every secret and bits and pieces of information about it.
Yeah.
Like, every time they go, "Oh, yeah, the general told me to give you this." He's like, "Sweet, more information.
Sick. Yeah.
Eating content, give it to me. Yeah, oh,
Just
yeah.
eating. Not even
Yeah.
just eating.
Absolutely.
That's all he does.
Yeah, and you'll notice here, Rhys, that they give him a superpower of being able to memorize all of Daniel Jackson's work.
Yeah.
And then some.
So he got a cheat code to get up to their level.
I do
Yeah.
like-
so he can.
Okay, I guess it technically might not be a contradiction of that, but like within the same episode, it's like, come on, guys. When I say guys, Robert C. Cooper wrote it. But he's like,
Well, he wrote Meridian too, so he's
That's true.
technically the only one who's ever written for Jonas at this point.
No, that's true. That's true. Is that he says, to Carter, oh, well, the test that, Doc Fraser did says that I'm actually able to take in a lot more information a lot faster and a lot more permanently than most humans. It's incredible. And said previous to that, I've read and memorized every piece of work that Daniel Jackson had ever done. And I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, that's even like way I'm taking that. Predating the SGC, like he's probably went back and read all of his old research papers and whatever. Either way, he's been there for 3 months. He's been doing nothing but reading. He knows everything that Daniel's ever done and seen. 2 scenes later, Teal'c gets taken back to Chulak or whatever, and he's like, the scene starts with him talking to Carter, going, "I didn't know he had a son." I'm like, that never fucking came up in any of Daniel's
You
papers.
didn't read any of those mission reports
Yeah.
where Teal'c got in trouble for hiding the fact that he had a
Well,
son.
would he have
Because
access
then-
to the mission reports?
He's read everything.
Well, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I
Dunno
presume
yet.
it's published pieces and
Yeah, I think you're right. Just
Research.
whatever's in Daniel's, because he's in Daniel's office or lab or whatever.
yeah.
So I assume he's just gone through all of Daniel's shit. Because you can see Carter comes in and just takes that book out of his hand, like that's Daniel's.
Excuse me,
Put
I
that
was
down.
sniffing that last episode.
That's my sniffer. It's gonna stink like you.
Great, he's got Jonas on it now. No, look, I liked Jonas in this episode. I didn't mind him. I could see things from his perspective. I don't know if you just hate him for future episodes, obviously, but
I've seen it, but I liked him too in this
Yeah.
episode.
Really?
Watching it, I'm like, why do I hate this guy so much again? Okay, yeah, he kind of caused Daniel's death, and that's why O'Neill hates him. So, blah, blah, blah. In this episode, the context of just this episode, I'm like, he's all right.
Yeah.
See, I think that's smoke and mirrors. So first they give him the cheat code, saying, okay, he's the new Daniel, and he's going to read everything Daniel's ever written, so he's caught up to us straight away. But then fucking Robert C. Cooper decides he's going to take all the attributes we like about Jack and give them to Jonas to try and trick us into liking him. So what's the first thing he do? He puts Jonas in boxing gear and tries to recreate the scene from Fifth Race.
Benji Kozar's Jonas.
Benji Kozars. So they're suddenly been in their Kozars together. And then 3/4 of the way through, might be the first episode, or actually, no, it might be the second one. Carter's like needs help. She's run through all the ideas they can think of to try and save the Earth, and she says, "Colonel, you have a way of putting things in its simplest form, and that really helps." He's like, "Oh well, I've got nothing."
Yeah.
And then the next scene, Jonas
Jonas
is standing
comes up
there
with a
drinking his
simple
go,
thing.
going, "How did the Stargate get in here?"
Yeah.
That inspires her, and then he stands there with that fucking shit-eating grin. And it's like, well, because he says, I've been thinking about this ever since I got here, which is 3 months ago. The planet's about to be destroyed. We've got less than 24 hours left, and he's like, why don't we just take it up through there?
Oh yeah. By the way, when they kind of came up with that, did you ever think about doing that, sending it into orbit?
No.
Yeah, because I always wonder, like, obviously that's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't come up with it straight away either.
Well, yeah, you just think, it's a ridiculous plan. How are you going to take a Stargate while it's on? Nothing can touch it, otherwise it dies, like the event horizon.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't get that feeling. I thought he obviously just wants to help. I'm looking at it obviously from his perspective, not from a pissed off fan perspective, which I'm sure a lot of people that hate Jonas would be looking at it as like, obviously this is Daniel's replacement. But that's not Jonas's fault. That's Shanksy's fault. But
I'd say it's Robert C. Cooper's fault.
Yeah, I would too. Because in Meridian,
how do you replace Daniel Jackson?
I think the way they went bad is because in Meridian, like Cooper made Jonas more or less indirectly the reason why Daniel died. You know, like he could have sacrificed himself instead of Daniel, and
then replaces him with a copy of him. So I know this was their kind of, it's the first pancake rule, you know, you always burn your first pancake and you fuck it up. So I understand them fucking it up by writing Jonas as the wrong kind of character. Corin Nemec is actually a really good actor. Like, he's a really good actor. I really like him. Back in the day with Parker Lewis Can't Lose, he was just a pimp in that. But the problem is, and they tried to make Jonas too much like Daniel. And then, like, in Atlantis, when they and this is, you know, a couple of seasons from now, when they realize that the team they created Atlantis isn't working because of the 4 people that they have in that team, they get rid of the weak link and bring in a completely different character with brings a different skill set and a different vibe to the team, and it works. But I understand that was a team that wasn't working and they bring it in so it does work, whereas the original SG-1 was a team that worked perfectly. So they thought, oh, well, we'll just replace Daniel with another actor to do the same role. And I think that was a mistake by trying to make it... As viewers, we're all still mourning the loss of... Well, those of us who like Daniel are still mourning the loss of Daniel. And now you're bringing in this character who, A, was responsible for his death, and B, is basically... They're trying to turn him into a carbon copy clone of Daniel.
Yeah,
and I think that's...
like,
I didn't really
first
get
scene,
that.
he's in his office, like, going through all this shit. It's like, bro... And he's got his bloody CD player.
Oh, well, he told me to feed his fish. Like,
I've learned to like Jonas in this season, and they do a lot of stuff like, this is Get to Know Me episode for Jonas, and it's like a bit forced. And I think later in the season he does a few good things, and you're like, yeah, he's all right.
Yeah. As an ensemble, there are some phenomenal episodes this season that involve Jonas, but the Jonas-centric episodes, I can't cop.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see it. I'd be interested to see it moving forward.
Yeah.
But yeah, from the perspective that I got in this episode, I just saw him as, obviously he felt bad about what happened. Obviously he can deal with it better than everyone else because he didn't know Jackson that well. And he obviously just wants to help out, but also, you know, wants to be involved for his own purpose. And yeah, I mean, he did think up all these great ideas and let Carter have the glory for it.
Yeah.
Obviously, just to
Jonas helped me.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, it's his idea.
Either to earn his keep or to just be like, hey, look, if I don't care if I don't get the glory, if this is the way I can help, then I can help this way. But yeah, I don't know.
The hardest thing I had to buy at the end was right at the end when Jonas is like putting the hard sell on Jack. It's like, let me be part of the team. And I don't know whether it was just something that Richard Dennison did, but at the end of that speech when the doors closed on the lift, on the elevator, I was like, he's not part of the team. Jack didn't buy any of that. Jack's not interested.
Yeah.
The next scene is like, well,
it's either him.
You're getting a Russian. And he's like, well, I guess Jonas is better than a Russian.
My rotting corpse, sir.
Yeah, so it's like there's
American.
In order to make a
there's
decision.
Jonas, there's rotting corpse, and then there's Russians. So it's like...
Yeah, well, you know, in order to make a decision, you need leverage, so a Russian is bloody good leverage.
Yeah.
Hammond's probably just forced that.
And it's like, Jack is like, I would rather have 4 Russians that I have nothing to do with, that have their own
so I
team,
can kill them.
than have one of them on my team. Which is
know.
fair enough. After the Tomb and
absolutely.
Watergate, I wouldn't trust any Russian SG people either.
Well, at the same time, like, I don't know how I was supposed to feel, but I almost felt the opposite to that when the Russian colonel found out about the new ship, and he's like, what the friggin' hell's going on here? And they're like, how did you find out? He's like, not the point.
Yeah.
You haven't told us shit. And they're just like, they go, it's got nothing to do with the Stargate. He's like, Nicodria, and that's how it runs. That's from the Stargate. You're supposed to share
Based on a fucking glider.
Yeah, you're supposed to
It's a
share
program.
technology, tell us about all the new technology that you get, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, and they come in, there's like some emergency going on. Hammond's like, well, anything's better than this.
for this shit.
Did
I'm
I
like-
find out how he did find
Anything?
out about that?
Yeah, and I'm like, well, hang on, isn't he kind of
Nothing.
like? I was like, isn't he right? Like,
Totally.
should you not have told him about that?
We
You would
screwed the Russians every which way.
be different
Yeah.
if it was like, hey, we didn't tell you, but you didn't ask. Okay, so why would we tell you?
They
Rather
were
than
right
go,
in 48 hours too, and Daniel's like, well, they just want what we promised them.
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
the problem?
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it. We've just been not following through on all our promises. All the agreements we made with them, we just haven't been doing.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, I was like, when he goes, I found out about it. I'm like, well, Mayborn's NIA, so MIA. So who told him? I'm like, that's pretty serious for a Russian to find out what Americans' top secret shit
Yeah.
in Area 51.
Like if you were to have, well, there's probably 4, but even just the 2 most recent ones, like you're going to have 48 hours and then this episode back to back. You'd be worried that by episode 3 we're going into a fucking Cold War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's some serious shit brewing. Not to mention the tomb, and then even before that with Watergate. Like there's a lot of shit going on in the lead up to this.
Yeah, Plus Nemesis with the Russian sub
Yep,
and all
yep.
that.
Yeah, and it couldn't have been McKay,
victories.
could it? Because McKay wouldn't know anything about the 302 program.
No,
I mean,
he was
yeah-
in Russia, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was working with the Russians, and they brought him back for the emergency.
I don't think it was him.
But yeah, he'd have no knowledge of the 302 program,
No.
as far as I'm aware. Unless he's got friends in the military working on the 302 program, and they're just talking out of school. But
Unless-
you can't imagine an Air Force officer would be doing that.
Unless
Especially if Area
unless he was
51.
in Jonas's office looking at all the paperwork that Carter gave him.
Totally.
Because he kind of marched in, Major, how do I not know about the X302? And then he's like, Jonas is all like, now you may not know, but this man is very upset.
And I thought that was going to be his like Jack moment. I was waiting for him to sort of smirk like that was a joke. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh no, you legitimately thought you were helping. Yeah.
Maybe,
okay.
it
Or
was Jonas that told him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's trying to be too helpful.
Something else I can peg on fucking Jonas.
Jesus. At the start of it, when they had that bloody shit replacement, that bloody
yep.
captain, and then O'Neill comes through the gate like so pissed off. He's like, "Next."
Do you know?
What did they say, 8 or 9? That was-
Yeah.
9 if you include
No,
the guy
yeah.
that lasted like 20 minutes or something.
you know how
2 hours.
Do you know how you could really tell if that guy was never going to last even before what had happened? He didn't even get a P90. He had some other one of their old school like season 1 guns, while Carter and O'Neill had their P90 strapped to their chests. I was like, if they're not giving him a P90, he's not on the team.
I got to say something, guys. Walter knew his shit at the start of this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Morning, Sergeant. Morning, sir. What else do you want to do back?
Hour and 22 minutes from now, sir.
When we get back, tell Major Carter I have a message.
Yes, sir. Incoming wormhole.
Like, all over it.
He's
Not
wearing so many hats.
not an hour and 20 minutes, not
An hour
about
and
an hour and a half,
22.
an hour and 22
And you know what? He
minutes.
Didn't look at his watch when Hammond asked
No,
him.
God,
either.
no.
He knew it.
Yeah.
Yeah, internal clock.
Yeah.
He's cut it. He's what is it? Circadian rhythm is just bloody on
That's
point.
it. And then what do? They disrespect him, and after like 4 seasons, bring in Pretty Boy Cumface.
I know.
Just
He's
out of
back.
nowhere.
I
Yeah.
think,
Out
I'm
of
pretty sure
nowhere.
we said we'd never see him again
Might have.
back in the day. Message in
But
a bottle.
And here's what's interesting is he detects some kind of power signature. He brings it to Carter and goes, "There's something not right here." And then Carter goes, "Well, I'll magnify it." And he's like, "Well, that's well within tolerance. That can't be it." And it's like, why would you bring it to her attention?
Yeah.
She agrees with you, and then you tell her no.
Yeah.
It's like,
He did that last
listen
time.
to her.
He's trying to play
Bad
hard to
scriptwriting.
get again.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, like Pretty Boy Cumface was in Message in a Bottle, and I'm pretty sure we censored that out last time. We've since gotten looser. Or you've missed a few times. We've said Pretty Boy Cumface.
I think we edited
If we say Pretty Boy Cumface enough, you'll leave Pretty Boy
a
Cumface in.
little
You're
bit
gonna have
of
to leave
it,
it in.
back in his first appearance, but since then
That's
we've
right.
referred to him as if we never did.
Yeah.
And this is who we're talking about, if you're ever
Yeah.
lost. But you look at him, and
What is his name?
popped up.
Tobias? Is that the actor's
who
name or
cares?
the
I don't
character
care.
name? I
Yeah.
don't know.
He popped up, and I'm like, I knew it instantly. I'm like, Pretty Boy Cumface. But I'm like, hang on, is he one of the people that died that we gave nicknames to? No, just
Yeah, he was
but
dying.
You can't mistake
Yeah,
that.
he had, when
Message in a
he
Bottle.
had
olive
to come on his
skin with
face.
dimples.
Yeah.
Oh god, he's so
he had the
pretty. So
UV
pretty.
light on and was just
Yeah.
jizz everywhere.
Yeah.
He's dying from his jizz face. But then he survived.
Then Carter gets
But yeah,
hand job.
but now as of this episode, we never see him again. So we're done.
Okay.
No, that's a shame.
I knew it was one of those. So after that, when the incoming wormhole comes in, there's a code red IDC. Now, I don't think we've ever had that before.
Yeah,
That's
that's
from
new.
Walter.
Sounds new.
So I assume it means under fire. Yet Hammond sends people into the gate room, like medics and everyone, and then he runs into the gate room.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's code red IDC. I don't know what that is, but I wouldn't be running in there.
Yeah.
And then the dude throws the spear in.
That's exactly.
And then he
what I
goes
was
and
thinking.
picks it up. I'm like, that
Could have
could
been
be
standing there.
poisonous or a bomb. He
Mate,
could
he
be
knows
dead.
what he's doing.
Maybe that's what code red means. Everyone run in.
Code red, they're under fire. See who gets shot.
Everyone run in and
See who's-
be human
yeah.
shields.
See who gets an early pension.
Yeah. I mean, if they'd done that back in Spirits, one of them would have got that tritium arrow through the head.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
luckily that spear was thrown pretty weak, so... Yeah, I never thought of that. That's interesting.
Yeah, I just thought that was dumb.
Do we think the feeling of the show has changed? Like it's gone to different networks? Because I for me, again, I watched this very close to watching the season 5 finale, and it really seems to flow on pretty well. Everything, relatively looks the same. I mean, new flashy titles.
New flashy
Yeah,
title.
I'd
that's
say
that's
what
pretty cool.
the Stargate has never looked sexier than it does in the opening credits
Yeah.
of season
well,
6.
and even just standing there...
Wow, me close-ups.
Did it get new lighting, or was the gate CG in some episodes, like the gate in our gate room? It just looked so pretty. And I don't know whether it got a new lighting rig or they're filming with different cameras or something like that, but that looked pretty.
Yeah.
But then, the opening credits, whole nother level of prettiness.
Yep.
Yeah.
And a cool bit of trivia on that is actually the when it's spinning, when it gets to Chris Judge's credit, the symbol that swings by is actually the point of origin for Chulak. They
Oh,
deliberately
cool.
did that. As the
That's
point.
good.
Yeah, it swings by.
Nice.
That's just a little nod to that, which I thought was a nice touch.
And and they
change.
walk up the ramp like they do at the
Yeah.
end of this episode. Not my favourite walk up the ramp. It's a bit slow.
Yeah, it was almost like a rehearsal one.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. When bloody Jonas looks over at him, and then it was sort of look forward and go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're walking.
And this is for the main theme and go.
And
Yeah.
here we go. And they all just, it was too rehearsed. But yeah, that came up at the end of the credits, and I'm like, oh, who is that? Who's the fourth person?
Yeah.
And then it was the last, shot of the...
It's kind of good because they had a
Yeah.
huge backpack on him and a cap, so you couldn't tell who it was.
Was there
It was Elliot.
if
Yeah.
if we hadn't have ruined it for you in Meridian when you saw the back of the visual companion book, was there any point that you thought McKay might get a call up?
Oh, jeez.
No.
No, there wasn't.
Geez, what a dynamic.
I didn't think about it, but if I had have thought about it, I would have thought, hey, that's probably a possibility.
So we didn't actually ask you in Meridian. Did we spoil it for you, or did you found out that Daniel wasn't in season 6 before now?
No, well, I kind of had an idea, even before, before I started watching SG1, I always knew that Daniel was in all the seasons, or most of the seasons, obviously. But so when he died, I was like, what, is this real? Like, he's actually dying.
Yeah.
And even before that, like the start of, or halfway through season 5, I read the back of the DVD, and it was like a tribute to Daniel Jackson. I'm like, oh, I wonder what that's about. Didn't even click then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's right,
when
that's
he
in the
died,
special features.
I don't think it really impacted me as much as it should have, because I'm like, wait, he's not actually dead, is he? Is he dead? He's dead.
Dead.
Yeah.
Dead. So yeah, I think I was more surprised after it, even for probably a few days, and then I started to be like, oh, okay, shit, he's actually dead. So yeah, it's pretty full on.
Yeah, I think season 6, there's a few low points in it, but it makes you appreciate what's to come after. And I wonder if Michael Shanks had stayed on for season 6, would there be a 7? Would there be an 8?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or would they have just run it out?
I mean, there is-
season 7 will be the end.
There is a quantum surge in terms of what we're able to do. I mean, you look at the 302, the 303, the 304.
Yeah, totally.
So many things in season 6
Yeah.
that are the setup for, the rest of the series.
Yeah, especially.
So I do love season 6 for that. There's a lot of good episodes in here, but yeah, like I said, it's just the one. It's episodes like Nightwalkers and Shadow Play and things like that where I can't cop it.
Yeah, they're
Can't
boring.
cop it.
I think
They may be the first episodes I'm not here for.
the
I'd make Chuck
the
a sick.
season, up until this point, it's like any kind of tech we get, next episode goes back to the start. Like, we never seem to be able to keep technology.
Yeah.
Like, even that cargo ship that we got, destroyed at the end of Revelations, never see it again.
That's it.
It's dead.
And that's actually something I was going to ask you, Rhys. At any point, did you feel like the 302 was kind of like a Deus Ex Machina in that we had the X301 back when that went off, was that Tangent?
Yeah.
And then did you ever think it was just purely written in for this episode just so that we had a way to get the gate off Earth?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Not,
a bit
not
like
to begin
that.
with. I was like, oh, okay, well, obviously they've introduced the Nequadria earlier, so this is going to be how they use it. Obviously, they're going to have a few bugs to begin with, but they'll work it out. But then when they said, yeah, look, when O'Neill basically started falling from the sky, I'm like, okay, they can't save this, which made me a bit angry because I'm like, that's ridiculous technology to create just for a way to get the gate out and then destroy it before the next episode.
Yeah.
That's Cooper for you.
And then I don't know. But then at the end of the episode where Hammond was like, yeah, we gave him the plans for the X302 and 303. I was like, okay, so they got more in store, so that's
they
good.
got more stuff coming. Yeah. I did love the 302 engineer, like the guy that was like briefing.
Yeah.
He was fun. He was like
He was cool, though. He
dry
knew
and
his shit.
sarcastic. It's like he actually, like, especially when O'Neill's getting briefed as they're walking out to get into the Jeep, when you see the 302 up on top of that
Passenger jet.
jet. Just the fact that, just that cool little sort of one little dry bit where it's like, O'Neill's like, when did you plan on telling me this? And he's like, now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we only found out
This
5
is-
minutes
this is the
ago.
plan.
Yeah,
like,
this,
what-
this is the plan.
You're not going to believe this. Holy shit.
Hey, while
Yeah.
we're on that scene, what the is the guy with those jumpsuits?
That's
How bad are they? And
Who
apparently...
gave the go-ahead for them?
Like,
Well,
I know you're called sci-fi, but let's
Yeah.
just
Well, no,
tone
here's the
things
thing.
down a little bit.
Apparently, according to the commentary, Martin Wood said that they got a lot of slack for them, understandably, because they're fucking idiots.
Yeah.
But they're actually recreations of actual suits that exist in the, I forget whether they said the Navy or the Air Force.
Space Force.
But yeah, ones that actually help, hold your body heat in and stuff like that actually look like that. And I'm like,
Yeah, but don't put the stripes on them.
Like the
Right.
G-force
Yeah.
suits.
they look so bad,
Yeah. It was just
But there's
terrible.
inertial dampeners in these.
right?
But their heads still slam back into the chair.
Yeah.
Phasers.
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 Sorry, sir. That's one, Mitch.
In the cafeteria.
I like it when he doesn't notice.
Well, I mean, every time if I use it, it feels like we're not using it anymore, and then if I don't, I should. So
No, we're always using it. It'll last till season
Oh, okay.
10.
It'll last till the end of universe.
okay, let's do it.
Oh, trust. I don't think there'll be any Trek references in universe.
Wish there was no Trek references in SG1. In the cafeteria, Tilk's plate when he comes over with
that was
pretty much
good.
How
one
proud
of
was
everything.
he? He was
Yeah.
so happy with that plate.
O'Neill,
Yeah.
there's nothing surprised about O'Neill. He's like, just a light snack, huh?
I was about to make a note of that, and then it became the thing in the scene because I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
small detail only I've noticed. Yep, good.
But then it does kind of break the fourth wall in that you can tell that it's obviously an actor having to do multiple takes because of that entire thing. All he's doing is just picking off the occasional grape.
Yeah.
Like he's
On
not
the other side of
Yeah,
the
he's
bunch.
not digging into those mashed potatoes or anything like that. He's just
Yeah.
like, if I've got to do 40,000 takes of this shit, I'm eating
Yeah.
grapes.
Yeah.
I can eat grapes.
Yeah.
And then that guy that he walked past on the way to O'Neill, and the guy's just staring at his plate like, what the f***? Leave some for the rest of us, bro.
SG1, mate.
Yeah.
SG1,
What are you?
bro.
SG24. There won't be any
Back
left.
off.
He's like-
SG1 coming through.
Tim's like, you can have my scraps, mate. Whatever's left on the bottom of my plate, you can have.
You can drink the rest of my tea.
Yeah.
Go suck on a lemon.
Drink
Oh.
the stock after I've eaten.
I'm not a huge fan of McKay at the best of times, but I tell you what, the start of the second episode when he's doing all that, yeah, Anubis, it's your agent, you're playing it. Says, I wanted to punch him in the face.
I don't get his angle. Like, I get he's supposed to be shaving his stick, full of himself, trying to piss Carter off, but loves her secretly, or not so
Yeah.
secretly. But all that stuff, was he trying to be funny, or is he trying to impress her? I don't get it.
Yeah, you suppose
It's
it's kind of
weird.
like there's two characters in this you don't like, but you're forced to like. I feel like Jonas, you're forced to like Jonas, even though you might not like him. McKay, still comes out with the still sexy as ever, I see.
Yeah.
And I'm like, haha, classic.
I always
and
Classic
then
McKay.
just still, for some reason, you have to like him, even though...
And then what pissed me off is at the end when Carter gives him a kiss on the cheek and goes, "Oh, I was attracted to you when you did." I was like, where the f*** did that come from?
Yeah.
That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
That was f***ing
Yeah, that
stupid.
was
Why
dumb.
would you ever be like, what the f*** is that?
Oh, I think we all know, mate.
Should we do it? Cooper! First for the season. Feels good.
Yeah, level spiked a bit, but
Ooh, still stings.
Sorry,
We did lean back, Jamie.
Sorry.
we all
Jamie.
did lean back.
Yes. I always kind of liken him to, he's like a civilian male version of Haley. He's like super brilliant, but just doesn't understand social cues. Just doesn't get that.
Yeah,
How to act around people without putting them off.
yeah. Well, that's. I was going to ask you, Rhys, but I think we found out already. Who do you hate more, McKay or Jonas?
Ooh.
Yeah, McKay. I don't mind Jonas. Am I
Yeah.
supposed to, like, do you guys hate him when you first were watching it? Did you hate him at this point?
Yeah, I think it felt forced. It was just too forced.
I was still
Yeah.
mourning Daniel. I wasn't prepared. I openly wept like multiple times watching that episode, and I was just like, "It's not Daniel. It's not Daniel."
Yeah, I think I felt that
It's
too.
not Daniel.
Because they just wanted a carbon copy of Daniel, and it was like, ugh.
I wonder, like, because maybe for me it's like the cool thing to hate Jonas. Because I don't remember exactly why. It's just something that's like, oh, blah, Jonas Quinn, you know. But I as I've said,
It is a fun thing to do.
Oh,
as a Stargate fan.
let's
Yeah.
not- don't get me wrong.
It's a fun thing to do.
But-
I feel bad
majority.
for Corin because he's barely worked since, but it's
Yeah.
you know,
Ruined
very
his career.
fun, very fun to follow on Twitter because he's so weird.
Yeah.
And I love that.
he's
you
great.
know.
He is great.
Still my favorite. I know I've told you guys a dozen times. Like people were tweeting like Christopher Judge and Michael Shanks and Amanda Tapping and like any of the creators are all there like tweeting about the political injustices going on in America and like how dare Trump do this and why are we doing this in the world and we should be better people. And Corin Nemec in the middle of the feed was like, "I've lost my donuts." And then his next tweet, which was like a significant amount of time later, like 6 or 7 hours, not minutes, hours. "Where are you, donut?" Like, holy shit.
he's great.
Why is this not? Why are these tweets not happening when we're reviewing season 6?
Yeah.
Like that had to happen like season 2. But I think for me, this time around, as I've said a number of times, I've found Daniel so much more condescending and in many ways a lot easier to dislike
Yeah.
or harder to like this time around. So maybe the transition from Daniel to Jonas is easier this time
bit of
around
a
for me. So
yeah,
and
it's a
so
bit
I actually
fresher.
can't remember why I'm supposed to hate him, and so far I don't.
Yeah.
I still love Daniel as much as I ever have.
Yeah.
For me, the sting is it's like the guy responsible for his death is the
Yeah.
one that replaces
That was the
him.
worst thing they could have done.
That's
it's
the
very
like he's
hardest
already
thing.
on the back foot,
Yeah.
and that's
I don't see
not,
it as being responsible for Daniel's death.
He helped
don't
cover
know.
it up. Like
Yeah.
Daniel, like even
he was going to let
Yeah,
him
but
fall.
Jonas-
Jonas
You see-
even says in this episode he's the one that should have jumped through the glass and saved the day.
Yeah,
but
I don't
he-
agree with that
like
so
you-
much, but
Yeah, but I mean,
he was
like,
going to make Daniel the patsy.
Jackson's
The scapegoat.
the warrior now. So of course he's going to do the heroic thing because he's been doing that for the last 5 seasons. But at the same time, you got to. I think the reason why I don't hate him is because I see it from his perspective. If you're living on a world, your whole life, and then some guys come through, and then they're helping you do this thing. Jackson takes it upon himself. Yes, I get it. It was wrong for them to say, "Oh, it's Jackson's fault," but it wasn't his decision to say, "Hey, let's say it was Jackson's fault."
Yeah.
He went along with it, and then he's like, "Wait a minute, this isn't right. I don't agree with this." So he grabs the Nequadria and racks off to SGC. So I guess I'm looking at it more from his perspective when I'm seeing him join the team, rather than looking at it from SG1's perspective and being like, "F you, mate. You don't belong here. You don't deserve to be here because Jackson's better than you."
Yeah.
I get it, but it's all about perspective. I
Yeah,
think.
that's a fair point.
Yeah, I agree with that. But for me, the main scene in Meridian was when Jack went back after Daniel got dosed, and he's like, "Come on, man." He's like, "What?" He's like, "Daniel didn't do this." He's like, "I don't know what you're talking about." So he was lying directly to Jack, and it that's the scene that kind of made me went, come on, bro. Like, don't be silly.
You can hold a grudge then.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a Stargate
he
thing.
said one line, and I've hated him for 10 years.
Yeah, but like this
Well, I mean,
episode,
it's-
it's fun that it's fun. I like that he says, I want to be part of SG1, and Carter's like, don't see it happening, and he
gonna
kind of
happen,
just
buddy.
walked away with a smile, and I'm like, it's good. Good sport.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll
and
get
then
you. I'll get you, Carter.
And then he went to Tilk, and then he went straight to O'Neill, and he's like, dude,
yeah.
like, this is the deal. I feel bad. This is how it is. Like, I get it. You know, I'm not being emotional about it, but you
Yeah,
know.
Yeah.
he's definitely trying to make reparations. Like, he's trying to, like, do good. I think, you know, he feels guilty that he did sort of, you know, he was an accomplice to the lie that was trying to blame it on Daniel. And he's trying to do good, but, yeah, I think he's just a victim of poor writing, because as the season goes
yeah,
on,
sure.
Yeah.
there's so many other TV shows where it's like, you know, an actor has left or been killed off and they replace it, and it's just done so much better in so many other shows.
Roseanne.
Let's have two Beckys. Oh god, what's that? The girl you love, Mitch, that's in Gifted, the mother, Amy Acker. Amy Acker. She was like that in Angel, in the Buffy spin-off. She was brought in like season 2 or season 3, and she had to play the catch-up character to be, you know, part of this demon fighting team. She did it brilliantly. They did it with Rose McGowan in Charmed when they fired Shannon Doherty. Supposed to be a show about 3 sisters. They killed off one of the sisters, and they went, "Oh, guess what? You've got a half sister, Rose McGowan." And she caught up, you know. And the whole premise of the show, it's like as the demons get stronger, they get stronger, blah blah blah. And it's like by midway through season 4, she's at the same level as her sisters that have been doing it for like 4 years. She's been doing it for 6 months, and she's like, "I'm at their level." And you kind of bought it. Obviously, Star Trek do it a lot. They go through a lot of actors.
I think if well, you know that Daniel comes back now because you said that, Rhys. But if
I've always known that he's in the later.
if Shanksy never
seasons.
came back and Jonas was there forever, I think everyone would like Jonas.
You'd have time to.
Maybe. I mean, and then I guess it falls back to what you were saying earlier about would there have been a season 7?
Yeah,
If we, like, who knows?
yeah,
But yeah, it would be interesting to see how it unfolds through the season in what Rhys thinks of Jonas, and I guess what we think of Jonas. Especially when Mitch was saying it's like, well, this sort of watch through, he's kind of fallen away from liking Daniel so much. So it's like we might change our views, but
yeah.
there are, like I said, there are some phenomenal episodes where it's the group, but the Jonas centric ones, I'm a bit like,
Yeah.
so
There's a flood one which I think is great for Jonas.
yeah, it's in a couple of weeks. Let's talk about Anubis. That fucking kick-ass gate killer weapon he's got, I thought looked amazing. The only thing I didn't get is when Teal'c was like, "Oh, it's of ancient design. I've seen something like this before."
Yeah, what?
Motherfucker, when? What did anyone see
before
anything
we
about?
knew him.
Yeah, did anything see anyone about that looked ancient at all?
Not really.
No, but that's because
The grabby head thing,
Grab your head
maybe.
thing.
But that's what I didn't get. Like, if I mean, we haven't seen a weapon made by the ancients. You know, it's always been technology to help. You know, but yeah, if it was prior to us meeting Teal'c, you know, and it's from his experience as first prime of Apophis. Well, back then he didn't know about the ancients.
No,
he
he
thought
didn't
the
know what an
gods
ancient
created
was.
everything and
Yeah.
blah blah blah. So yeah, I don't know where he would have seen that or why, when.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I feel like maybe the CGI let him down a bit there. Where maybe it was supposed to look like something, but we just didn't get a close enough look at it because it kind of just like these two big, like weird, knobbly antler things with the two beams going into the gate or something like that. And
Yeah.
I did like the two storylines running sort of
Concurrently.
separately, but at the same time, like a detached. Yeah, but it was. I would have loved it to see back on Earth. They're like giving up hope, like, oh shit, that's it. We've got nothing else to try. We've got nothing else to do. And then Teal'c saved the day. Obviously,
Yeah,
I'd
from
love
the
that.
back end. Yeah.
But obviously, they needed Jonas to save the day.
yeah, I felt like the sequence of events was slightly out because it's like we shoot the 302 and the gate through the hyperspace window and it explodes. Anubis sort of succeeded. And then we're like, oh, we have to shut down the program because he can just dial us up again and do it to the second gate that the Russians have.
Yeah.
But then it's like we see Ryak blow it up with his glider, and then there's that whole big long scene of like Jack and Hammond talking about packing it all up and blah blah blah. And it's like, well, we know that it's the first episode of the season, so we know that the program's not being shut down, and B, we're waiting for them to catch up, and it's like we always find stuff out as the team finds out. So it's where that weird thing when we're going into a scene, knowing something that they don't know. Like Teal'c knows, but the rest of the team doesn't. So it's there was just a weird sort of sequence of events there where it's just like, oh, where's the peril? We know.
Yeah, I liked it. It sort of gave you that perspective of like not having to worry about what's going to happen next, whereas you could just enjoy them being themselves. Where Hammond's like, you can have any mission you want. He's like, yeah, I'm going to go have ride on a boat, bloody whatever. And I was like, oh, that's cool to see that, what they would do if they were going to pack up and, the end of the SGC. But obviously...
that confused me too, because I kind of looked away, and then when that scene came, he's like, yeah, I'm going to retire. And I'm like, what? Hammond's retiring? Oh, what? This is confusing, because you obviously know they're going to continue next week.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the Antarctic Gate... Go!
Yeah, back down to one gate. They just blew it up.
Yeah.
So the
kaboom.
So the Russians. So they gave the Russians good old American dollars. The plans to the bloody
X302. All the things they already promised them. That's what they gave them.
Yeah.
And then didn't you say there was one other thing?
Yeah, to have someone on SG1.
That's right. Yeah.
But so now we're back to...
That's not happening, obviously.
Now we're back to the original gate, so the one that was found in the movie in Giza.
Yeah.
And then, the one that blew up was the one that we found down in Antarctica.
Yeah.
So now I'm happy for that triangle point of origin to be back.
We can finally lay to bed. So then the Giza DHD was the one that blew up in 48 hours, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we still... don't know when we find out in a couple episodes' time.
Yeah,
the DHD that Carter was digging out of the ice in Antarctica.
Yeah,
what happens to that?
Right. Teal'c's mate, Shakrel.
Yeah,
I thought that was cool. Where he come down and he's like, "Hey, Teal'c, just so you know, like, I love the fact that they've still got Jafar in the ranks of the Goa'uld, but he comes down just to say, hey, just to let you know, man, like the Tyree in trouble. I thought you should know. Like, I thought that was awesome.
I came to tell Braytak.
Yeah,
to tell you. But it's like, oh, you're already here.
Yeah, you're
sweet.
How convenient.
He looked
awesome.
like he should be playing a first prime or something.
Yeah.
Like, he's a big guy.
Yeah.
Here's something I found interesting though, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when he's flying the ship, and Teal'c, Braytak, and Ryak all are about to ring down, and they're all sort of ready. He says to them, "Shell knock," and then rings them down. Wasn't that what Teal'c said when Daniel goes, direct translation, very cool? Isn't that shell knock?
Yeah, I think it was.
So did
shell neck.
Oh, is it shell neck? Is it?
I think that's what he said. I had the subtitles up. I can't remember. I didn't write it down, but
because I just thought it'd be hilarious if they're just reusing Jafar words and he's gone,
"This is awesome,
very cool," as they beam down. It's like a war cry, just very cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's
Teal'c,
it.
I'm so happy I'm going through this with you. In that scene, how fucking awesome was that fight scene when they ring down? And obviously it was a very low budget, tight scene, but that looks so awesome, man. Teal'c's just doing the no look behind the back, boom.
Yeah, and Ryak's just down there on his knee shooting a zat everywhere, every which way. It's hard to hit a moving target. But then, how many people were that? 8? 10. I'm like, so 10 people were ambushing them in the rings, but then when they walk through that little gate, 8 dudes are there and they can't take them out when they got captured.
The rings, mate, didn't with the element of surprise.
Not by surprise, yeah.
Yeah,
And also, Ryak was up on the mountain, could have flanked him,
Yeah, totally.
Jesus. Useless.
Yeah.
He had to save the day as well.
What I didn't get was when he destroyed Anubis's machine and then it fell into a volcano.
Yeah, like the earth
and
just
blew
crumbled beneath it.
And then fire just screamed up. Yeah, I didn't get that.
Yeah.
I'd obviously had some cables buried, man.
Yeah, you had to obviously put it on a volcano.
And with conduit. flux capacitor under there somewhere.
Just capaciting
I
constantly.
Constantly
Capaciting.
There was a line that hit a little bit too close to home for me when back we talked about it before, when O'Neill and Teal'c are sitting in the commissary, and Teal'c's like, "Oh, Hammond thinks we need some kind of like socio-political nerd to offset our overall coolness."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Is that me?"
Yeah.
Only if you think we're cool.
Yeah. You are here to offset.
Yeah, I just offset the coolness quotient.
So I was just thinking, like Rhys was saying, there's two storylines in this, but Teal'c had to leave before Anubis dialed in.
Yeah.
So basically, Cooper killed Dreyarch just to get Teal'c off world by himself.
And we never
Pretty much.
saw her again.
We never even saw her in this episode.
Yeah.
She was just a
Totally.
head under a sheet.
Yeah.
Oh,
that-
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Like it was a cool bonfire.
Yeah. I think that's how I want to go.
Yeah, me too.
I think that's how I want to go.
It's like
said that-
supernatural.
I've said that to Sarah. I think I even tried to get her to put it in my will. Like, we were writing our wills, and
That'd
I
be
said it.
sick.
I think she took it as a joke and didn't write it down. But I don't necessarily know whether I was telling the truth, but I would have been happy for it at the same time she wrote it. I said, I want to go out like Darth Vader. I said,
Yeah.
put me on a wooden, like,
Pyre.
Send me into
pyre
space.
and have my sons lighted on fire.
Yeah.
And, hey, put me in a Darth Vader mask if you have to. I don't care either way.
I'm happy to do it.
Melt
I've
it.
got one here.
Melt it so that
that's my death
my
mask.
really emotional grandson can like find it in like 40 years time.
Yeah.
Be like, I will finish what you started.
Too bad if like your skin melts to the plastic
That's the
and
thing.
just
Yeah,
stays
he's
there.
stuck with my
I
like
want-
decomposing head.
I want people to do the weird stuff with my ashes.
Anyway, so this is my will and testament on this podcast. Sorry, go ahead. Yes.
I want people to do the weird stuff with my ashes. Like, hey, you can like get it like put into pencils now. Like you can get someone's
Really?
ashes and they'll compress
Oh,
it down
yeah.
into pencil, and you can be writing with
I
your
think
dead
we
loved
had
one's
had
ashes.
this conversation where you can stick it in a dildo.
No,
Yeah.
I've
Yeah, you
heard
put it in a
of
dildo.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah,
get
yeah. Get your dead husband up
You
here.
can get it swirled into like big glass balls, so it's like these cool, like you know, people collect like the big glass balls that have the bubbles in them. They'll like swirl ashes into it.
You can snort it like cocaine.
Yeah, Keith Richards, nothing more rock star than that.
Oh, mate.
Yeah.
Snorted my dead dad. What the fuck, man?
Yeah.
What went wrong?
What went wrong?
And I think
Decades of
that
rock.
guy is still alive.
I know.
Like,
Yeah.
all the
So
people, all the healthy people, young people that have come and gone in the time that Keith Richards,
He's
the
a-
living skeleton, he's still kicking.
He's a human Dorian
Skeletor.
Gray painting. Like there's,
Yeah.
there's
Oh, God, love him. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I love some Keith Richards, love the Stones, but
Who do you reckon will go
Jesus.
first, Keith Richards or the Queen?
I reckon,
both
I reckon
hold
the
nine.
Queen.
Jesus.
I reckon Richard, he'll look worse, but still be alive. He already looks worse.
I mean, he can't look worse than Prince Philip though. Like Prince Philip is a legit zombie
He had a car crash and survived it. How did that happen?
because he's a fucking zombie.
Yeah, and they didn't take his license off him.
yeah, well, he doesn't. Oh, no, he's got a license, doesn't he? She just doesn't have one.
Interesting. This time a royal family has a car crash and survives. Interesting, isn't it?
Oh, shit. It wasn't planned.
He wasn't the target.
We did miss it earlier on when we were bagging out Jonas, but I just thought, given that how hated he is by a lot of the fandom, I found it interesting that very early on, Robert C. Cooper must have thought he was going to be like a big hit, and Robert C. Cooper.
Himself or
I'm going to
Jones?
inject some of
No.
myself into this character.
Well, he just seemed to be like just a little bit of a humble brag here about the Jonas character from Robert C. Cooper.
It wasn't your fault. I don't blame you.
I actually wrote the first episode with Jonas in it, so in a way, everyone else has kind of had to follow my lead.
Oh, fuck, mate.
Right?
Yeah, we don't blame you.
Just a-
Like Jack
That's your
said.
claim to fame, Jonas, and replicators.
This is where I thought it was
Killing
going.
Daniel.
I actually wrote the first episode with Jonas in it, so
You're welcome. Like that's honestly where I thought he was going, and he kind of did. It was
Yeah.
just an alternate reality version where he's like, they're following my lead when I'm
My
creating
lead. So,
great characters.
you're welcome.
Shut up.
Yeah. I was like, if only he knew what was to come. If only he knew the shitstorm.
I was going to say that they had the plan to, I think Carter said 2 hours to get the gate to the surface, 4 hours to fly it to wherever it was.
Yeah.
The flight, was it Area 51? I don't know.
Phoenix.
Yeah,
Some
that's
base,
right.
yeah.
And then rig it to the plane. I'm like, why didn't they just fly the X-302 to Stargate Command?
Because it's top secret.
Yeah. Here's an idea. Why didn't Jonas give them the idea a day earlier so they had time to work on all that rig?
Yeah, or why didn't McKay not
As like a
listen to
backup.
Carter as well? But like, to me, it's like that X-302 can fly to Cheyenne Mountain in 2.3 seconds. Save yourself 4 hours of rigging.
Less chance than people seeing a Stargate
Yeah, right.
driving down the road.
Well, it's just like, whoa.
An active
switched on.
Stargate, yeah. And it's like they were allowed to take the X301 out for a joyride,
Yeah,
like on Earth.
yeah.
So
Around the planet.
Good point.
Yeah, I was just like, that saves you 4 hours, guys. So,
Every minute counts.
yeah.
Oh,
Well,
they
you
had
weren't
plenty
close
of
to
time.
mission control.
Cooper.
We're in space. Anyway.
Time wasn't an issue.
Cooper.
No, it was just like literally the last second. He hit the hyperspace window and ejected. I'm like, well, surely that would kill you. The amount of inertia, you would have absolutely been annihilated.
Not in a TV show, mate.
Inertial dampeners, mate.
Not when he ejected.
It was the whole pod that came out with him.
Yeah.
But just to help Rhys out in case it does pop up in has Rhys been paying attention, the X302 has 4 engines. One is air breathing, one is high altitude aerospike, one is a rocket booster, and the final one is a hyperdrive. Just so we can say we've said it.
What'd
If you
you
do ask it.
Sorry, what'd you say?
Inertial dampeners.
Sorry, too late.
I like it when Tilt gets captured and he goes to that guy, Anubis did not create the weapon, nor is he a god. And then Jafar just slaps him.
Yeah.
Just picture Tilt going, my son hits harder than that.
That Jafar,
Didn't even bleed.
that's Tyrrell from Battlestar Galactica. He was the dead one that Braytak brought through the gate in Maternal Instinct.
Yeah,
That's right.
Same actor.
Wow.
The last thing I had to say was, why was Hammond at the last minute, like, Jack's falling from the sky, and they're like, oh, can we override the protocols? And General Hammond's like, let me call the president. Like, wouldn't the president be there? He's got 11 minutes to live. Like, wouldn't he be... I know, like, Obama was watching the takedown of bin Laden on a live feed of the helmet of the guys that took him out. Surely, this guy...
Surely there'd be a live
There's not a
feed.
meeting that's more important.
No, well, the world wasn't going to blow up in 11 minutes. It was just Colorado, and then the after effect would have killed the world.
Maybe he was
Yeah.
like poised in the Oval Office at his desk, ready to make his like announcement to the masses. Being like, guess what? We're all
You all gonna die.
We're all
We're about to have the greatest explosion that the world has ever seen. It's
going to be huge.
Nobody does
hugest,
Armageddon's
the
better than me. Believe me.
Nobody ends the world like I can end the world.
Yeah, I think your Trump's gotten better, mate.
Has it?
It's very
Yeah.
good. It's very
Thank
good.
you.
It's
time to find out if Rhys has been paying attention.
All right. 5 questions, 30 seconds for you, Rhys.
Yeah, when's time start?
Right now, at the end of this. At the start of Redemption, which is the name of this episode,
Yeah.
when General Hammond asks Walter, when is SG-1 due back, what is his answer?
1 hour, 22 minutes.
Correct. How much does the Stargate weigh?
Oh, pass.
Who died in this episode?
Pass.
What did McKay use on the gate to try to stop the attack on Earth?
It was the bloody sound. Yeah, it's pass.
Name the element that created the hyperspace window.
The Quastria.
Correct. Holy Jesus.
Wowzers! How the
One
mighty
out of-
have fallen.
1 out of 5.
Fucking 1:30 a.m.
That's. I mean, if that isn't a reflection on season 6 compared to season 5, I don't know what is.
So it was,
Father made you wrong.
All right, give me the questions. Give me the questions, Brendan.
Oh my God. I mean, they're all gimmies for...
this is obviously
Yeah.
Drayak.
Give it to
Drayak.
Oh, no, you got 2 out of 5. You got the hour and 22 minutes. How much does
Hour and 22
Stargate weigh?
minutes.
Would you have accepted a lot?
No.
Remember when
No, I wouldn't
O'Neill
have.
goes...
I would not
"That's
have
a lot."
accepted that.
Okay,
Who died in this
something
episode?
at 88,000 pounds.
Drayak, obviously.
It was
Drayak.
£64,000.
There you go.
And if you want to jump onto conversion.com, it's 29,000 kilograms.
Kilometers.
Kilometers. That's a
Big
long...
gate.
That's a
It's a
huge
chopper
gate.
co.
Who died in this episode?
Drayak.
Yeah, I would have accepted Tilk's wife. Or
That's who it was.
Or, what do you call it? The Valley Girl.
Oh, yeah.
What did McKay use on the gate to try and stop the attack?
An EMP.
EM pulse, correct. Electromagnetic pulse. Name the element. You said Nequadria, Rhys. So, anyway, I mean, better luck next time, I guess.
We'll be
Same
saying
bat time,
that a
same
lot
bat
through
channel.
season 6. Better luck next time.
Yeah.
That is episode 113 of Get Into Gate. Redemption, Part 1 and Part 2. We will be back next week to talk episode 3 of Season 6, Descent.
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh.
Good app.
Means
Yeah, I like
nothing
it.
to Rhys or I. In the meantime, you can check out all of our previous podcasts on your favourite podcasting channel. Just search Get Into Gate, a Stargate podcast. Drop us a long-form line, getintogate@gmail.com, or hit us up on the socials, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Say hi, like, subscribe, recommend us, review us. Everything. We take it all. Just give me attention, give us attention. That's what we crave. That's what we love.
If you want to redeem yourselves, jump onto our Patreon.
Absolutely. You get a huge redemption.
Otherwise, find us all individually. If not for the entire show and the entire team, I'm Mitch_Lewis on Twitter and Instagram. Matty,
At High Pitch Matty.
Brendan,
At the Bren Gibson.
and Rhys.
At the Flying Gibson.
Let's talk the opposite of Ascension with Descent next week, right here. Stargate SG1's favourite show, Get Into Gate.
And Cooper.
Get Into Geek.